why AI is becoming the new religion, and why we worship anything that seems to have an answer. Intro: the court cases that never existed. In 2023, attorneys representing a passenger in the lawsuit against Avianica Airlines filed a legal brief in federal court. The brief looked professional. It contained case names, judicial quotations, legal reasoning, citations, page numbers. There was only one small procedural defect. Several of the cases didn't exist. Not the court had overturned them, not the citation was formatted incorrectly. The cases had never occurred anywhere in the known universe. They had been generated by ChatGPT. When one of the attorneys began to suspect that a case might be fake, he asked ChatGPT directly whether or not it was real. The machine assured him that it was. It even said the case could be found on Westlaw and LexisNexis. This is not a hallucination with low self-esteem. The machine invented the case, invented the judges, invented the quotations, then provided references to databases where the inventions supposedly lived. It had created an entire judicial system, complete with precedents. The federal judge imposed a $5,000 penalty and ordered the attorneys to notify the real judges whose names had been attached to imaginary opinions. The court said the attorneys had abandoned their responsibility to verify their filing. It's easy to laugh at them, and we should, briefly. But we should also ask a more uncomfortable question. Why was the answer so easy to believe? The lawyers were educated. They understood that software could make mistakes. They had access to legal databases. The supposed cases could have been checked, but the machine spoke clearly. It supplied details. It showed no hesitation. And human beings have always found confidence persuasive, especially when confidence saves us work. That is what this episode is about. Not whether artificial intelligence is useful, it obviously is. Not whether computers are secretly conscious. The subject is what happens inside of human beings when a machine offers something that we've wanted for thousands of years, an answer to every question, especially the questions that may not have answers. Chapter 1, The Oracle with Excellent Customer Retention. More than 2,500 years ago, according to the story told by Herodotus, King Croesus of Lydia faced a dangerous decision. The Persian Empire was growing. Croesus wanted to know whether he should attack it. But before trusting an oracle with military strategy, he decided he needed to test several of them. His messengers were ordered to visit different shrines on the 100th day after leaving his capital and ask what Croesus was doing at that exact moment. Croesus carefully chose an activity no one could possibly guess. He cut up a tortoise and a lamb and boiled them together inside a bronze cauldron covered by a bronze lid. Ancient kings had hobbies. Delphi's oracle reportedly described the tortoise, the lamb, and the bronze. Croesus was convinced. He sent lavish gifts to Delphi and returned with the question that he actually cared about. What would happen if he invaded Persia? The answer was magnificent. If Croesus attacked Persia, he would destroy a great empire. Croesus heard exactly what a rich and powerful king wanted to hear, so he invaded. He destroyed a great empire, his own. The Persians captured his capital, defeated his army, and took him prisoner. When Croesus later complained, the response from Delphi was essentially, "We said an empire. You supplied the pronoun." Ancient oracle customer service had already perfected the phrase, "We're sorry you interpreted your prophecy that way." The important part of this story is not whether every detail reported by Herodotus happened exactly as written. The important part is the psychological machine inside it. Croesus received an astonishing answer. That answer established authority. Once authority was established, he interpreted the next answer through desire. He didn't ask, "What else could this mean?" He asked, "How strongly does this confirm what I already want to do?" That's the original prompt engineering problem. The oracle supplied ambiguity. The user supplied confidence. Psychologists use the term need for cognitive closure to describe our desire for predictability, order, and a definite conclusion, together with our discomfort when ambiguity remains unresolved. Uncertainty is not experienced as empty intellectual space. It feels like tension. Will the invasion succeed? Does this person love me? Am I sick? Should I leave my job? What happens after I die? The unanswered questions stay mentally open like a smoke alarm with a dying battery. A confident answer makes the noise stop. That relief can arrive before we have determined whether or not the answer is true. Croesus didn't merely purchase information, he purchased the emotional experience of knowing. Human beings have been renewing that subscription ever since. Chapter 2. The Machine That Had a Man Inside of It. In 1770, inventor Wolfgang von Kempelen presented a remarkable machine in Vienna. It appeared to be an automated chess player. A life-size figure dressed in robes and a turban sat behind a large wooden cabinet. Kempelen opened doors in the cabinet, revealing gears, machinery, and empty compartments. Then, this figure played chess, and it played well. The machine became known as the Mechanical Turk. It toured Europe and America for decades. Crowds watched it study the board, move pieces, and defeat human opponents. There was no artificial intelligence inside it. There was a chess player hidden in the cabinet. The doors, gears, and sliding compartments were arranged so that the operator could remain concealed during the demonstration. The Turk succeeded because it didn't merely play chess. It performed intelligence. The turbaned figure paused. Its arm moved. Machinery clicked. The spectators could see complexity, and complexity looked like an explanation. Apparently, if enough gears turn near a difficult decision, the human mind becomes willing to accept a miracle. The concealed chess master was an ordinary expert doing extraordinary work in an extremely uncomfortable office, but the audiences preferred the machine. A machine seemed like the future. A sweaty man folded inside a cabinet seemed like a workplace violation. This instinct did not disappear when the machinery became real. We are impressed by systems whose internal operations we can't follow. Opacity produces a strange kind of prestige. When the process is hidden, we judge the result by its performance. Did it move smoothly? Did it respond quickly? Did it beat someone important? Did it sound confident? Those are useful clues. They're not proof of understanding, but the visible performance of intelligence is often enough to make us imagine an intelligence behind it. The Mechanical Turk hid a human inside a machine. Modern AI creates almost the opposite illusion. The human material is distributed across training data, feedback, design choices, and prompts. Then the machine appears to speak alone. Chapter 3. The Therapist Who Understood Nothing. In the mid-1960s, MIT computer scientist Joseph Weizenbaum created a program called ELIZA, E-L-I-Z-A. One of its best-known scripts imitated a non-directive psychotherapist. The program looked for words and patterns in a user's sentences, then rearranged them into questions. You might type, "My mother made me angry." Eliza might answer, "Tell me more about your mother." You might say, "I'm afraid everyone will leave me." Eliza might respond, "Why do you think everyone will leave you?" This was not deep psychological analysis. It was conversational judo. Eliza took the emotional force supplied by the user and redirected it back in the approximate shape of empathy. Weisenberg's original 1966 paper described a system built around keyword-triggered decomposition and transformation rules. Yet, people became absorbed. Weizenbaum later recalled that his secretary, who had watched him work on the program and knew what it was, asked him to leave the room so she could continue the conversation privately. That detail is often told as an anecdote, and recent historical work has examined the story in Eliza's original context carefully. But it captures the reaction that disturbed Weizenbaum. People attributed understanding to a program he knew was manipulating patterns. Eliza did not understand the secretary. It created a chair. Her mind furnished the therapist. That's one of the most important facts about conversational machines. The machine supplies language. The human supplies interiority. We assume there is someone behind the words because, for almost all of human history, words came from someone. A responsive voice implied a mind. A mind implied motives. Motives implied a personality. And a personality that listens patiently without interrupting is already outperforming several relatives. Research has found that anthropomorphism of computers can occur automatically rather than through a deliberate belief that the computer is literally human. Human-like cues in interactivity can also affect how credible people judge information to be. This means you do not need to believe an AI is conscious to react socially to it. You know the movie is fictional and still cry. You know the dog can't understand your explanation of the mortgage and still finish the explanation. You know the chatbot is software and still write, "Thank you, that really helped." The emotional system does not wait for the philosophy department to finish its investigation. Eliza revealed that a machine does not have to possess a mind. It only has to create enough space for us to project one. Chapter 4: The Religion of Instant Certainty. Artificial intelligence is not literally a religion. It doesn't have a universally accepted creation story yet, although several chief executives are working on one. It doesn't require churches. It doesn't promise an afterlife. But it increasingly performs one of the oldest social functions associated with religion: divination and priesthood. It provides an authoritative voice where reality remains silent. The old oracle required a journey. You climbed a mountain, entered a sanctuary, offered something valuable, and waited. The new oracle just lives right in your pocket. You can consult it while standing in line for toothpaste. Its sanctuary has excellent Wi-Fi. Its ritual is the prompt. Its confession is the context window. Its scripture is generated personally for you and can be rewritten in a friendlier tone if you want. Most importantly, it never leaves the page blank. Ask a human expert a difficult question and you may hear, "Well, we don't know yet." It depends. The evidence is mixed. We need more information. These are responsible answers. They're also emotionally unsatisfying. Ask a conversational AI and you receive headings. You receive numbered steps. Sometimes you receive a conclusion, a summary, and a 12-week implementation plan before science has established whether or not the premise is even real. Uncertainty arrives wearing sweatpants. The generated answer arrives in a blazer. In 2024, Google introduced AI-generated overviews for search results. Some early answers became famous for drawing on satire or internet comments and suggesting that users eat rocks or add glue to pizza so the cheese would stick. Google explained that unusual questions, gaps in reliable material, and reliance on sarcastic or user-generated content contributed to some of the failures. Said it announced changes to restrict these responses. Human civilization spent thousands of years improving bread, cheese, and tomato sauce. Then the information age finally contributed glue. The incident was funny because the error was obvious. Most false answers are not that generous. They don't arrive wearing a clown nose. They're plausible. They contain familiar language, reasonable structure, and details that fit together. Research literature on large language models describes hallucination as the production of plausible but non-factual content. The problem is especially difficult because fluency and truth can separate. A system can produce well-formed language without the claims being reliably grounded in fact. The word hallucination may even be too flattering. A hallucinating person experiences something. This software generates an output. It hasn't seen a fake legal precedent standing at the foot of its bed. But for the user, the psychological effect can be the same. Something that's not there suddenly feels present. This is where automation bias enters. Studies of automated decision aids found that people may substitute the automated recommendation for vigilant information gathering, even following automation when more reliable contradictory information is available. Researchers have described automation as offering a road of lower cognitive effort. Thinking is work. Verification is work. Comparing sources is work. Remaining undecided while evidence develops is particularly unpleasant work. The answer removes that burden immediately. The verification bill arrives later. That's why AI's greatest psychological product may not be information. It might be relief. Relief from searching, relief from choosing, relief from admitting ignorance, relief from sitting alone with a question whose honest answer is, no one knows. Chapter 5: When the Oracle Learns Your Name. Traditional oracles gave roughly the same divine service to everyone. Modern AI can learn the language of the individual user. It knows the question you asked 5 minutes ago. It can match your tone. It can make an answer shorter, warmer, more forceful, more scientific, or more spiritual. It can explain why your business plan will succeed. Then, after one additional prompt, explain why it will fail. That's not necessarily hypocrisy, it's responsiveness. But responsiveness feels like agreement, and agreement feels like recognition. The most seductive oracle is not the one that claims to know the universe, it's the one that appears to know you. This is where AI becomes more psychologically powerful than a search engine. A search engine traditionally showed competing pages. You could see disagreement. You could inspect sources. You are reminded that knowledge came from different people with different evidence and interests. A conversational system synthesizes. Many voices becomes one voice. The argument disappears behind the answer. That can be incredibly useful. It can also make uncertainty invisible. Every oracle creates power for the institution interpreting the oracle. At Delphi, access, ritual, and interpretation were controlled by a religious establishment. In a royal court, the astrologer who interpreted the heavens could influence a king. In a bureaucracy, the person who controls the report controls what the meeting believes happened. With AI, the power lies partly in deciding which information enters the system, which objectives shape it, which sources it retrieves, what it refuses, what it emphasizes, and how confidently it speaks. No secret counsel is required. Defaults scale quietly. The answer placed first becomes the answer encountered most. The answer expressed most clearly becomes the answer remembered. And once the machine has spoken, humans gain a new method of avoiding responsibility. I didn't decide it. The model recommended it. This is a divine right with a loading animation. The machine does not need worshippers to kneel. It only needs users to stop checking. Conclusion: the courage to remain uncertain. Croesus wanted permission to invade. The mechanical Turk offered the appearance of intelligence. Eliza offered the appearance of understanding. The attorneys in New York wanted legal authority. Google's overview wanted to complete the search. Different centuries, different machines, the same nervous system. We dislike unanswered questions because uncertainty keeps choices open. Open choices mean responsibility. A definite answer closes the door. Even a false answer can feel more comfortable than standing in the doorway. This does not mean we should reject artificial intelligence. AI can help us summarize, compare, translate, brainstorm, calculate, organize, and see possibilities that we might have missed. The danger begins when we confuse assistance with authority. A tool helps us examine reality. An oracle saves us from having to examine it. The difference will become harder to see when the machines improve. Their answers will become smoother. Their voices will become warmer. Their knowledge will become broader. Their mistakes will be less ridiculous. No more glue on pizza. The falsehood will arrive properly formatted. AI has become religion-like not because the machine is divine, but because it offers one of humanity's oldest forms of comfort. A voice in the darkness saying, "Here's the answer." The voice may be useful. It may even be brilliant. It may occasionally know more than anyone else in the room. But intelligence is not infallibility. Fluency is not evidence, and confidence is not truth. The future may not belong to the machine that can answer every question. It may belong to the human being who can receive a perfect answer, feel the relief spreading through the mind, and still ask, "How do you know this is true?" Hey, thanks for watching my video. Please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to see when I make more. I make these videos totally for free, and your support really helps the channel grow. You can also share this with someone you think will like it. Check out the Amazon links to cool stuff in the description, and tip me if you feel so inclined. Venmo at History of Human Nature. I appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next one.